We're so excited to be having our first Upbeat Mama conversation, and today we're talking about art development in children, and I'm joined today by Loren Firth. She is an incredible art teacher, an artist herself, photographer, mom, wife, and she is going to talk to us about her creative journey and the art that she's involved in, and so we're really excited to have you here today, Loren. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, Pips. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to share some of my tips that I have, so this is cool.
Yeah, and in the lead up to this conversation, we've had some conversations of our own, and I found it really practical stuff. So I'm really excited for people to be listening in, so that they can also art can become something that's attainable and easy to do and fun to do as moms with our kids.
Well, I'm glad you've got me here, and we're going to just chat about a few things, and then we'll see. Hopefully, it'll be helpful to many people as well.
Yes, and I'd love you to just start by talking to us about the kind of art lessons that you do with kids. That's your wheelhouse. That's where you work every week. And yeah, what do those look like?
Well, I really love color, and I love it when it's bright and bold. And I often try to get the kids to think of, let's try and make it look a little bit different. It doesn't always have to be a green tree. We can kind of add in something else. So I just want them to start observing, looking, and thinking, what could I do with this? Or how could I experiment in a different way? That's what I like doing.
And what ages do you teach?
I teach 8-year-olds to 13-year-olds.
Okay.
And I have taught from little ones doing like 6 years old, doing like painting workshops at home.
And you do those workshops in the holidays?
I do workshops during the holidays as well, which has been quite nice. It's just a small group of kids, and we just have fun together. We sometimes have done like little Easter bunnies or things like that, or even some fun llamas, which we have 6 girls who normally come around and just create.
So that's so fun. And I love in holidays, you've got more time. So you can really just take your time, enjoy it, and enjoy the artistic process, I would think. With the girls.
Having more time is important, which is great. So that's always fun.
And I know you've got some really amazing points about why art is important for children. I'd love you to share those.
Well, I'm just going to do 2. The first one is because art develops creativity, and once we have creativity mixed together with imagination, it will develop a problem solver, and that's what we need for today.
Yes.
I think a lot of people feel like the world is filled with problems, so we want our children to succeed, and if you want them to succeed, you want them to actually think in a way that's going to find the solution to the problem. So we need creativity, and we need more of it. So that's my first point.
Yes, amazing.
And then my second point would be because art just is an equalizer. It levels the playing field for everybody, and you can start at the same point. And it helps children to connect in a way, even if they are doing something that they don't necessarily like or have an interest in. It kind of draws them in because they want to discover what is the next to this. I enjoy that about art as well.
I mean, I think that's so valuable what you're saying about equalizing playing fields for children to just be able to take the pressure off them, because our kids in our schools today, there's just so much pressure to perform, and we need to take that off them, because if that pressure doesn't help creativity.
It doesn't. And another point that goes hand in hand with that is it just promotes a healthy well-being of a child, and it is fun. Most kids you'll hear, they'll say they want to be the art teacher because it is quite fun, but the reality is you do have to prepare quite a bit of materials and supplies beforehand.
Yes.
But if you've just taken a few minutes beforehand to think, how am I going to get this done so that we can create something at the end, it'll actually come together.
Amazing. And what would you say to moms about sparking in their children a love for the creative process, and then actually helping them support their children's artistic, creative development?
Well, I just kind of think of my 2 boys. I have boys that are 15 and 12 at the moment.
Sure.
But I remember when Noah was 1, we'd often walk together in the park and just looking at things, looking at nature, looking at a shape of a leaf and saying, can you see the curve over here? Can you see the line inside there? Can you see the color that's been used? And so that's basically where I would start. I would start with those 3 things and just getting them to be aware of those, shape, line, and color. They're around you everywhere.
Yes.
And they're around in your home. They're around whilst you walk around. And just getting them to notice the detail, notice how things are different, notice the change in something.
Yeah.
And just getting them to think and wonder, what would I do, or why does it look like that? It's that whole chain reaction of creating just one thought to a next, where they actually are thinking, okay, what is the whole greater picture of this? But they actually are just doing it in small little steps.
Also getting them to ask questions. Not in a critical way, but in a way that sparks learning, because we've got to ask questions to be able to learn. And I think that's what you're saying here as well. And then taking, I love how you were saying in one of our previous conversations about developing that sense of wonder and sort of marvel at the world that we live in. That's just like really stuck with me.
I think there's just a lot of beauty around us, and sometimes you can get discouraged, but if you actually look around you, there are so many things to actually make you feel and go, wow, that's amazing, that is awesome. And once that starts, it's just going to just have a snowball effect where they're just going to continually be picking up on the beauty. And most people think that that is what art is, but art is so much more than that. I mean, it can be when you are arranging your books at home, or when you're making a pie pastry at home, or when you are just the way that you style your clothes. That's the beginning of your art, even your handwriting. So most people confine it to drawing and painting, but it's actually so broad and so vast. And art can be enjoyed by one person, or it can actually be enjoyed by others who actually aren't even creating in the process. They are actually able to just sit and enjoy someone else, their creative process. So that's the wonderful thing. You don't always have to do it yourself.
So listening into a music concert.
Exactly.
Going to
an art gallery,
there you go.
Seeing some beautiful art and just thinking, wow, that was created a very long time ago, and seeing the beauty that's represented there.
And I think what you're saying now also is that art is one thing, but we're actually wanting to develop a creative process in our children, which art fits into.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I think
it's so broad and so vast. And I mean, both of us love performing arts, and I love the visual arts, and you love the musical department. And so, just where there is something that you have a sense of pride at the end of it once you've achieved it. And we want that for our children, so that they can actually have this bit of like resilience that they can stand on when they've got difficult times.
Yes.
They can have this, memories of joy of all these things that they've created, and that'll push them forward.
Yeah. So Loren, how do we support our kids' creative processes?
Well, it's about having an open mind, having a few simple tools, and then having a few moments of preparation to achieve that. And this can be done at your own pace, which is great. So I would ask a friend, if you're really nervous, you could come and say, I know you love art, I know you love creating, please could we set up a time so that our kids could create? Or you could actually do it at home. It's quite easy. Get some paint. You don't have to be very precious about it. It can be water-based paint. Cheap paint is really good. It's for your kids to get creative. It's not about creating perfection. It's about the progress. That's what we want. And use cardboard. Use cereal boxes. Cut them up, and then use paper plates. You could get a plastic sheet, put it underneath your table, so you don't have to really worry about mess. And then just decide. Think to yourself, okay, I'm going to give it about an hour and a half, and this is going to be when we're going to create. You could do it for one session during the week, and then your kids are going to actually love it so much. You have to get out of your own head, and you have to get away from being afraid, okay? You have to get away from making too much mess. There is going to be mess, but it also can be controlled. You don't have to be afraid that it's just going to be too messy and then it's going to take over. That is not going to happen. Your kids are going to love it. It's just going to be a fun, freeing time. And I would get some chunky paintbrushes, and you can stick to 2 colors of paint, and then you can go for it. The one time I remember, we came on holiday to South Africa from England, And I brought the boys with me, and there wasn't many art supplies, but there was actually a paintbrush and some water. So we were painting outside on the wall, and it was actually a lot of fun, and it was stress-free. And so the boys really loved it. Jessie was about 2, and Noah was 5, and they were just painting outside using water, and it actually left an imprint on the brick, so they thought that they were doing something. So that's a sneaky way to get your kids to do something. Another way that I always enjoyed when I needed a bit of help and it'd been a long day, often in the bath, it's the best place to get them to play and to be creative. So you can just use some bath crayons, and you can use them on the wall of the bath, and then you can also, if you want, you could use some face paint, where they're actually just going to squish it, they're going to squeeze it through their fingers, they're going to love it, and then they're going to like wipe it on their face and their bodies, and then you just wash it all off. So
now, to me, those are 2 practical examples, and then you gave some practical steps as well. To me, that just seems like something that a normal mom like me, it's actually attainable for. I don't have to take on like a super mom status to get this right, which I think, many of us think that we've got to have this amazing artwork planned and it's got to be perfect the first time. But you're saying it's just about having fun and just about kind of, if you're not used to going there, just going there and seeing where it takes you.
Exactly.
And no super mom status required, which I'm so grateful for.
Well, I think that's the beginning step. Art is meant to be about having fun. And I think we want to take away the fear and the control of being perfect. And so we just want to actually enjoy. And so when you actually prepare that in your head, I think amazing things will happen from the beginning.
That is so inspiring. Okay, well, we're going to have an afternoon of creating this afternoon, so I'm excited for that with my little one. But I know you've got this incredible quote, and I'd love you to share it with us because it just moved me when I heard it for the first time, and I think it's really inspiring.
Sure. I found this quote, and it just helps us when we are having a hard creative process, when sometimes things are not coming together and you're stuck in the middle and you actually want to give up. But this quote will show you why we continue. And then it also shows you why joy is so important.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's by Brené Brown. And it is, joy collected over time fuels resilience, ensuring we'll have reservoirs of emotional strength when hard things do happen. So you want to have this reservoir of joy. You want to be able to have this tank that you can rely on when you are having a hard time, when you are feeling stressed, when there is a problem, when you need to solve it. So that's why we want to create joy from the beginning, from when they're little, when they have the ability to just be free and relaxed. They're going to store all those times of creating, of having fun, of being relaxed. Because when you get older, it's sometimes very easy to become stressed, and almost we have to unlearn, and we have to learn to be more relaxed again. So that's why art's almost so wonderful, because it's changing your well-being whilst you're doing it at the same time.
Sure, that's amazing. So art helps build moments of joy that build reservoirs of joy.
Reservoirs of joy, so that we can encounter and overcome the hard times.
Sure.
I don't think most people would have thought of that linked to art. And so, I think that's why I absolutely love it. My creating and my art room space is a really beautiful space. And it's very colorful. We have a rainbow theme colored windows, and it's bright, and there's different things to look at, and there's different mediums to look at, and there's just, it's just such a lovely space to
joy
be in.
And fun.
Joy and fun,
Yes.
And I mean, sometimes it's not always glitter and it's not always rainbows. Sometimes there is a bit of, where you have to control it and bring it back. But the reality is we do want to create from a place of freedom.
Yeah.
So I want to try and instill that in people and in my art lessons when people come and create.
This is amazing. Okay. Thank you, Loren, for joining us today, for having this chat. I hope that other moms are also feeling as inspired as I am. And hopefully we can come and join one of your art lessons one day soon.
Sure. Thank you, Philippa.
Thanks so much for joining us today. Please stay tuned for more details on art development in children, on Loren's art lessons that she does on holidays, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.